8 policemen were shot, 2 fatally last night, as the violence which earlier rocked downtown Kingston spread to other volatile sections of the corporate area. The officers were injured while engaging criminals in a blazing gun battle along Mountain View Avenue. One of the cops succumbed to his injuries at the University Hospital shortly after midnight, the other sometime later this morning. And shortly after 3 this morning, our news centre received reports that the Crossroads police station had been fired on. Meanwhile, a woman was injured after gunmen fired on the car she was driving near the Excelsior High School shortly after 9 o'clock last night. Her injury is not considered life-threatening. Our news centre was also informed that a man was held up by armed thugs and robbed of his motor car along Deanery Road. Meanwhile, the police are keeping a close watch on Red Hills Road in the vicinity of the KFC outlet after gunmen and the police engaged in a shootout for several hours last night. Over in St. Catherine, the Spanish Town police came under heavy gunfire late last night. There were no reports of injury, however. A police team was fired on near the Spanish Town Bridge. The police had to beat a hasty retreat and seek refuge on the compound of the Spanish Town Hospital. Our news centre was also informed that a service vehicle assigned to the Old Harbour police station was damaged by criminal elements who threw stones at it. The latest flare-up is believed to be a spin-off from yesterday's violence in downtown Kingston, during which police stations on Darling Street, as well as those in Fletcher's Land, Denhamtown and Hannahtown, were attacked. A resident of the Fletcher's Land died from injuries he sustained after being shot by gunmen. A marked police car, which was stolen on the Slight Pen Road, was later found ablaze behind the Kingston Public Hospital. Residents of troubled communities in downtown Kingston were gripped by fear last night after the electricity was disconnected. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, Owen Ellington, is extending his profound sadness to the family, friends and colleagues of the 2 police officers who were killed and the 6 who are currently nursing gunshot wounds in hospital. In a statement issued a short while ago, Commissioner Ellington advised members of the police force to take swift and decisive action to protect themselves in the face of orchestrated attacks on police personnel and facilities by the criminal gunmen supporting Christopher Coke. He said police personnel have the full backing of the High Command to respond to any response used to protect themselves, their colleagues and law-abiding citizens of Jamaica. And the news centre has been receiving several calls of reports of looting in sections of downtown Kingston. The reports are that robbers have entered a number of business places on Princess and West Streets and have made off with goods. And the world has been keeping a keen eye on the flare-up of violence that started yesterday in sections of West Kingston that led to the government to declare a temporary state of emergency for the corporate area. Several reports carried in the international media have painted the situation as a war between the state and criminals over the reputed drug lord. Latoya Spence reports.
Word got out that a temporary state of emergency was declared by the government sometime after 3 yesterday afternoon. And by 6 o'clock local time, several international news centers had the news of what was happening splattered all over their web pages. The American-based MSNBC's website said Jamaicans were battling over an alleged drug lord and that the country had called a state of emergency after his supporters launched a wide-scale attack on the Jamaican security forces. In Britain, the BBC's website showed pictures of the Hannahtown police station on the fire and a picture of Christopher Coke. The headlines spoke of the Jamaican police declaring a state of emergency after coming under attacks from several criminal elements. Meanwhile, the US-based Channel 4 news website carried the headline, "Gun Battles as Jamaica Unrest Grows." The underlying article spoke of masked men attacking a police station and sporadic gunshots ringing out in Kingston after supporters of a Jamaican Don, Christopher Doddos Coke, launched attacks on the police. And the reports continued into this morning with one American cable news station, Fox, declaring that the Jamaican authorities and the criminals were battling for the control of Kingston. Latoya Spence, TVJ News.
And in a matter of hours, lawyers representing the Tivoli Gardens strongman Christopher Dudus-Coke will hold high-level talks with officials of the United States Embassy in Kingston. There have been reports that Mr. Coke, who is wanted by the U.S. government on drugs and weapons charges, wants a deal with the Americans. However, his attorney, Don Foote, has declined to state whether he will be seeking a deal with the United States. He told TVJ News that the meeting with the Americans was arranged on Saturday ahead of yesterday's flare-up of violence. The Overseas Examinations Commission has sought assistance from the police to provide security for students in troubled communities who were scheduled to sit external exams this morning. Students of Kingston College, Kingston Technical, St. Andrew Technical, Holy Trinity, Camperdown and Vauxhall, who are having difficulty reaching their exam centres, should go to the Commission's offices on Manhattan Road near Crossroads. CXC and CSEC candidates at St. George's College will sit their exams at Arden High. Students who live in Portmore and attend those Kingston schools are asked to go to any of the following schools in Portmore: Ascot High, Bridgeport High, Cumberland High and Waterford High. Executive Director of the Overseas Examinations Commission, Hector Stevenson, says candidates should make every effort to turn up for their exams, as they will not be postponed. A limited state of emergency has been imposed across the corporate area as violence breaks out in sections of the city. Jamaica House confirmed the news yesterday afternoon following a special meeting of Cabinet. The state of emergency came into effect at 6 o'clock yesterday evening and will remain in force for a period of 1 month unless it's revoked earlier by the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, in his address to the nation last night, the Prime Minister Bruce Golding said all is being done to restore law and order in the shortest possible time.
The security forces will be moving swiftly to bring the current situation under control. Criminal elements bent on violence and mayhem will be detained and processed. The criminal elements who have placed the society under siege will not be allowed to triumph. The security forces have been instructed to observe and respect the rights of citizens to go about their lawful business. The city is not being shut down. People are assured that they are free to move about and go to work as usual. Schools will be in full session on Tuesday. There will be some inconvenience as the security forces intensify their surveillance and efforts to ferret